If you looked up on the way here and not on the floor. Very good. Yeah, did you look around? What is special about the scenery that we see here?
Caves.
You said it very good. Caves. Guys, this place, it's boiling hot for us right now, right? It's a bit hot for us. But this place was settled for 3,000 years ago. How do people live here? Caves. These caves are natural, not man-made. Natural because it's the kind of limestone that is very crumbly, with a little bit of help from the water that come trickling down the mountain. We have these beautiful natural gaps that are created. The name Engedi is mentioned in the Bible. And it's mentioned a few times. Do you know whose story takes place in Engedi? If not, it's okay. Oh, very good. King David, what is he doing here, my love? Do you remember? What's the story?
He was talking about he was hiding.
Exactly.
From Saul.
He was hiding from Saul. Fantastic. Can I have someone to read it in English for a minute for me? Yeah? Thank you, love. So it's Samuel. That's the book. You can actually start here, and then we'll do this highlighted. So this one first, okay? Escape from Saul, and then this one, okay?
When Saul and his men came looking for him, David got word of it and went down to the gorge in the desert below the mountain. Saul heard of this and pursued David into the desert of mountain.
Yeah.
David went up from there and stayed in the refuge behind Engedi. And when Saul returned from the pursuit of the Philistines, he was told that David was in the desert near Engedi. So Saul took...
That's it. Thank you, my love. Guys, remember what I said at the beginning?
Yeah.
The fact that I can hold a text that is 3,000 years old. In Hebrew, I can read it, and not just read it, I can understand it, and I can say this where it happened. Guys, this is Engedi, and the name preserved for centuries after centuries after centuries. Up there, you see where the fence is? Today we have a museum, an archaeological museum with the findings here. We're talking about prehistorical findings, the first use of fire in this area, all here in Engedi. So it makes sense that the caves here were actually a place for people to live. When we're talking about Engedi and King David hiding in one of the caves, look, the text meets the nature. So for me, that is very big. Another big part of the story that takes place here is when David is hiding from Saul. Why is Saul chasing him to begin with?
He's going to be the new king.
He's going to be the new king. No one likes to be the thought of being replaced, right? No one likes the thought that you're not needed anymore. He's chasing David. David is running to the desert. He's hiding in the cave. And can I have someone else to read another part for me? In English, of course. Thank you, love. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, it's this part. David also.
David also stepped out of the cave, calling to Saul, "My lord the king." When Saul looked back, David bowed to the ground in homage and asked Saul, "Why do you listen to those who say David is trying to harm you? You see for yourself, David, that the Lord just now delivered you into my grasp in the cave. I had some thought of killing you, but I took pity on you instead. I decided I will not rise a hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed and father to me. Look, there at this end of your mantle, which I hold. Since I cut off the end of your mantle and did not kill you, you see and be convinced that I plan no harm and no rebellion. I have done you no wrong, though you are hunting me down to take my life."
Thank you. Guys, David is hiding here in the cave. Saul comes looking for him. He doesn't see David, and he takes a piece of his outfit. And then he calls him, "Saul, I'm here." And he shows him that piece of clothes. And he tells him what by holding it up? I could have killed you, but I'm not a bad man. I'm not after you like people say. I want peace. Saul's been convinced, but later on chases David again. So maybe if we'll try to really be creative and, you know, let our imagine go wild, think about these two men in one of these caves. That moment when, you know, a chaser is facing the prey. That moment of interaction, for me, that is incredible. We're going to go and move on to the waterfall, unless anyone here has a question or something to add. Enjoy the really refreshing water and come back.
One of the songs that you also sing a lot is As the Deer Pants After the Water Brook, So My Soul Pants After You. And then we saw one of the ibexes out there, and when in the desert, they say that when it's really hard to find water, that will go up in its back legs and scream out, make a loud scream. And so when David writes that psalm, he's writing that psalm from out the desert, and he says that all your waterfalls have come over me. And he knew not just to get water over him, but we're going to waterfalls, but also too for the prey to get away from the predator. If he could get to the water, then the predator would lose his scent. And that's a very interesting thing for us when we sing As the Deer Pants After the Water, So My Soul Pants After You. It's a good picture to be out here and think about that, because David's on the run. Yeah, and water is very important for for the prey to get away. That's how he can lose his scent. Yeah. All your waves and billows come over me. That's what it says in Psalm 42:7, I believe it is. Yeah. So when you sing it again, you'll have a bit of a picture.
That's